Hi, I'm Craig Damlow from Soapbox Rocket, and I'm an innovation coach helping companies with their innovation strategy, definition, and execution. This is my Founders Live Influencer Series videos, Understanding Your Customer. Today's video is about asking why. The quote for that, of course, is why, but why? And that's from every toddler ever. And I think we can all agree that the execution that a toddler uses is not the execution you want to use with your customers, but it is a good model to start from on asking why of your customers. Now, I'm going to say the word why a lot, so if it's after hours, feel free to take a drink every time I do. I'm going to try not to do it, but I just don't think I can get through it without saying it way too many times. So why do we ask why, right? The goal of why is to understand your customer's needs, both explicitly and implicitly. The explicit's fairly easy. You ask your customer, hey, what's your need? They tell you your need, and you could go out and execute that and solve that need. But if you can find the implicit reason for a need, the underlying causes of that need, you could probably do a lot better. You're going to beat your competition, and it's going to be a lot better. It goes back to the saying, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him to fish, you fed him for a lifetime. And that goes back to, he said, hey, I'm hungry. Hey, here's a fish. Or, hey, let me teach you how to fish so that you'll be able to feed yourself every day. And you get that implicit need through the asking of why. Why are you hungry? Or why do you need a fish? Well, I'm hungry. Why are you hungry? Because I don't have a way to get food. I don't have any money to buy food. Well, let me teach you how to fish and give you the fishing equipment. So that's the ultimate reason for asking why, is to find those implicit needs and be able to execute on implicit needs as well as the explicit needs to make sure that you are meeting all of your customers' needs, and in a way that's going to make it harder for your competition to take your customers away from you. This methodology comes, besides coming from toddlers, comes from a root cause analysis system called the 5 whys. And the 5 whys says that by asking why repeatedly, you'll find the root cause of any problem. So we're starting with a problem as opposed to a need, but it works the same way. So for this example, we've got the problem statement. My car won't start. That's our problem. That's the problem we need to find a root cause for. And if we ask why once, right, I say, well, what do you need? And the customer says, my battery is dead. Okay, let's stop. We stop right there. We're going to say, okay, I can address that problem. There's multiple ways I can do. I can start a service that will deliver batteries on demand anywhere in the city. I can install a second battery so that if your first one's dead, it'll continue to, your second battery will still be good. But again, that doesn't really address the root cause, because, number one, if I have to call for a battery every time I need to start my car, that's not convenient. And if I've got a second battery, how long is it going to last before it goes dead? Again, back to that root cause. So you ask why. Why did your battery die? The alternator wasn't working. Okay, alternator isn't working. Why? Why is your alternator not working? Well, the alternator belt is broken. Again, a good spot we could stop. We got a new idea, new company. We're going to go around and sell alternator belts to cars, sell and install to cars with broken belts. Or, again, we go to the backup system and we're going to say we're going to install 2 alternator belts instead of 1 to keep the batteries charged. But why did the first one break? It's an important question. Why did it break? So why did the belt break? The belt was beyond its useful life and it failed. Why was it beyond its useful life and it failed? The vehicle was not properly maintained per recommended schedule. Now we've got an actual root cause. I didn't maintain my car, my belt broke on my alternator, and my battery died and my car wouldn't start. So we can go back up the list. Now is a point where I can start either as a car manufacturer, I can say, okay, why was the car not properly maintained? We can start anew. It becomes a fishbone diagram at this point. So we've got the root cause for why the car won't start. Now we need to find a root cause for why the car was not properly maintained. And this is a complaint about the 5 whys. One of the arguments is you end up with multiple root causes all the time, or one root cause should be a root cause. And sometimes people will stop, like the belt was beyond its useful life and failed. Full stop right there. That's the root cause. So now we're going to work on building belts that never fail. Well, if you keep going down, possibly the root cause was not properly maintained. So again, as a car manufacturer, I can say, why aren't my vehicles being maintained after I sell them? Is it cost? Is it schedule? Is it another unknown? A lot of times it's just people don't know when to get their car serviced. So I can include 5 years maintenance free, right? So you bring the car to me once every year, however often I tell you, I do all the maintenance for you, so that way you're not going to have a failure. Or from the outside, I can say, hey, I'm going to build a service, beyond, I've got a auto body shop, but rather than waiting for people to come to me, I'm going to buy a database of people and when they bought their cars, and now I will send them notifications, either, I can send them a postcard or I can get them to download my app, and I'm going to send them notifications when they need to be properly maintained. So that's why you need to know the need behind the need, right? I need a battery. Why do I need a battery? What can I offer that will make my customer's life better and less likely for somebody to encroach on my customer base? One of the examples I like when you're asking why is from Henry Ford, and it was, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. One, this implies that Henry Ford never asked his customers what they wanted. He wasn't wrong on what he delivered, but I don't believe Ford is the top auto manufacturer in the U.S. or even the world anymore. And is that because he didn't ask why? I'm going to say yes, because I want you to ask your customers why. But let's go through essentially a 5 whys for Henry Ford of a faster horse. So the need is a faster horse. Or in this case, we're going to call it a problem statement. I need a faster horse. Why do you need a faster horse? I need to get to the market faster. Why do you need to get to the market faster? I need to sell more produce. But why do you need to sell more produce? Or, why does getting to the market faster help you sell more produce? Well, I only have 1 horse to move produce, so he has a limit on how much he can carry, so I've got to be able to go back and forth faster so that I can sell more. Well, why don't you have more than 1 horse? It costs too much money to feed more horses. So therein lies the bottom problem. Yes, they may have told Ford, I need a faster horse, if he had gone to them and say, hey, what do you need? And they may have said, I need a faster horse. Mine's just not fast enough. But what he delivered in the Model A, or in the Model A and later the Model T, was a way to move more product, at a faster rate for less money. So he really hit multiple things we've seen here. They need to move more because they need to sell more. They need to be able to move more produce at one time so they don't have to make as many trips. And you don't have to feed a car. You do have to care for it. And I guess you do have to feed it gasoline, but it's year-over-year cost is less than a horse, especially today. So while Ford hit it out of the park in delivering a low-cost assembly line vehicle, he didn't do it by working with his customers. He just intuitively knew that. And yes, that's going to happen. But I think there's a lot more examples out there. And even in Ford's history, you start to look at some of the failures they've had where they said, we're the experts. We're not going to ask people what they need, why they need it, or what's important to them. We're just going to deliver. So please ask why. So let me give you some tips on asking why. Don't just ask why. We go back to our toddler, why. Yeah, it's really annoying when someone's doing that. So don't just ask why. Ask for clarification. So you can ask, if we go back to the dead battery, why was your battery dead? Or you can, even dump the why altogether and say, oh, that's horrible. What caused the battery to die? You just change the language so it's not a repeat why, and add in clarifiers. That'll also help you direct the conversation to what you think you're digging for. Also, start with a story. Don't just go to your customer and say, what do you need to see in my product? Ask them a story and say, what is the worst experience you've ever had with my product? Or what's the worst experience you've had with my competitor's product? You can ask for the best too. You get a little more passion when you ask for the worst, so it's a good place to start. Also, if you can observe them, go to where they are, ask them why in their own environment. And the reason you want to observe is most people say one thing and do another, even not on purpose, not always on purpose, but just when you go through things, when you do things over and over again, you kind of start to forget how to do it. It's why one of the great problems that you get in an initial speech class is always the instructional. It's make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Well, spread peanut butter on a piece of bread. You've skipped a couple of steps. You need to get bread. You need to get peanut butter. You need to get a knife. How do you spread the peanut butter? Do you spread it with a knife or do you spread it with a spoon? So that's why you want to observe, because things just fall out in words. Can't always observe, but if you can, observe. Ask people on the edges. This goes back to one of our previous videos in this series about focusing on the edges. And again, ask people on the edges why they're doing things a certain way, because how they're doing it or why they're doing it on the edges probably affects the people in the middle as well. And finally, take notes, take photos, take videos. The photos and videos obviously are much better if you're observing. If you're doing a phone interview with somebody, videos and photos are probably not near as helpful, but notes are. And the reason is you want to be able to either A, follow up with added questions, but B, you want to unpack with your team. So being able to share your notes, photos, and videos is going to be able to get your team to the environment without taking everybody to the environment. Finally, I think this is an appropriate quote for this one, and it was from Albert Einstein. It's, the important thing is to not stop questioning. Specifically when you're developing a product or a service, if you stop questioning, you're going to stop developing. And that's when someone's going to beat you. So thanks for spending some time with me. If you're watching this on August 22nd, 2017, before the live Q&A, we are doing a live Q&A on founderslive.com. Go over there. If you miss that, if you catch it later, you can contact me Twitter at SoapboxRocket or LinkedIn. And if you need help with your company's innovation strategy, your definition, or your execution, find me at soapboxrocket.com and I can help. Thanks.